in to make contact with that group. But again, when you have to get in a big chase, get back into the group, the next time you're going to pay the price, and that is going to be, continued on. The moment we get onto a difficult section again, we will see losing riders big time out of this group of favourites. But the favourites are at the moment just riding along here, waiting, not getting involved, not putting their team on the front for the moment. And you can understand, still 37.8 kilometres to go. It's a long ways to the finish, and everybody afraid to take it up that bit too early and commit with some of your teammates.
That's truth, Sean. We're looking at probably about 40 riders here of great quality. It's always the case, isn't it? You get this sifting of talent, and right now up towards the front of those who are still in this race, of course, Greg Van Avermaet not part of it. Bergot out as well. Chase Benoot is not here. Arnaud Demar is not here. You've got the usual mixture of strong men and quick men, and some with a little bit of both. And still we can't answer the question, who's going to win today? But Fabien Cancellara is in a great place to make it 4. But will he be allowed to? Peter Sagan just rolling to the front right now, bringing the rainbow jerseys up there. We saw, of course, Lizzie Armistead doing such a fantastic job of a world champion's performance, and it may well be Peter Sagan, who's on stellar form at the moment, does it after his exploits in Ghent-Wevelgem not that long ago, of course. Tijnenberg, 530 metres, an elevation of 35%, and Dylan van Baarle wants to pick it up. He's not done yet. I thought, to be honest, he looked a little exhausted earlier on, but not a bit of it. Stannard and Grusdev then. Stannard sails by Grusdev. Maybe that was his little rocket, but as they all do, they come down to earth, and that's exactly what's happened to Grusdev. He's out of the frame right now, but Van Baarle starts to churn it yet again. He's still eating into this. It's a horrible surface, Sean. It's broken. It's gnarly, but so are these riders, and they're going for it.
Yes, well, they are committed. They're in a position. 50 seconds, it's a nice advantage, and if it continues as it is back in the peloton of chasers, they're not really pushing on here. Stannard, of course, he is in a position now where he has to try and make it across to the number of riders out in front. But again, we can see back in that peloton, it's a little bit of a downtime for the moment, but it cannot go on for too much longer.
This is another chasing group you're looking at right now. They're broken all down the mountain, and it's hard to figure, to be honest, which is going to be the move that actually makes it. But there's so many good riders here, including Martin Weinens, of course. 36.5 kilometres to go, 50 seconds the gap back to the fourth group, 1:14. They are groups, Sean, and they may be significant here as they almost tag the camera bike and are forced to move to one side. Oh, goodness me. Well, they do make it by, and make it by safely, but Trek also in the house, and Tinkoff don't want to be denied. Not necessarily all about Sagan, but some hard work to do, and you can see what a grind it is as Stein de Volder, one of the greatest men to grace the cobbles, is still engaged today in the hurt, of which there's 36.3 kilometres left of it, Sean. It's never ending.
Well, it's a long one, and at the very end of this race, that's where it gets more difficult. Combination of kilometres, time on the bike, and this is the most difficult part because the hills come very close together, and we can see a group trying to get out of this main group, and that's what we're going to see. Some riders tactically they want to move on, get out of the main peloton, and we've just seen a second chasing group form at the moment.
Rowlands looks spent as we catch up with the remainder of this group. Just got past Mesgets, and there is Sepp Van Mark, the eternal heartbreak, I'm afraid, of Sepp Van Mark. Will it go on? Well, we'll see how he manages to build something out of this one. The Tijnenberg, by the way, is said to be Tom Bonen's favourite climb. He's obviously a sucker for punishment. He always seems to go well on it. I think he just likes the fact that others seem to suffer more. But then again, we'll see whether Tom can get himself back together. Ethics Quickstep, I think, are possibly in the hands of Stiebar and Terpstra. They did a lot of work earlier on, Sean, Ethics Quickstep. Did they do too much?
Well, I think they did a lot of work in the earlier part. They made the race very difficult, certainly, but they also, I think, are going to pay the price. you're going to accept that if you put a lot of riders in the front and ride from many kilometres. But it's going to be a one now. Can some of the riders finish it off? And it's certainly made the race really difficult, and we're seeing the results of that. Lots of small groups getting out of the front end of the peloton, so that tells you maybe the big favourites haven't got as many teammates around them because the race has been difficult earlier on, and it's Ethics Quickstep who have contributed quite a lot to that.
Very much so. And just looking back down and through this group, and they all, well, calling for relays. Cancellara, come on, let's all do some work and make this one stick. Well, Cancellara is good at this sort of thing, and he's good at drawing effort from other teams, and he seems to be a sort of patriarch of cycling. I've seen Nicky Terpstra in a very good place as well. The Dutch champion, the Netherlands champion, also looking reasonably fresh. But this group that we're focusing on right now, Sean, with Cancellara, with, of course, Peter Sagan, it's almost dangerous because of the level of talent that's within it.
Well, it's always
they're dangerous to each other, I mean.
Well, it's always just a problem. Who is going to, take up the chase? The favourites themselves, do they start to ride as well? Do they just allow the teammates to do it? And we could see, for Cancellara, Stein de Volder there, who's the one who's trying to keep this group moving along. The advantages are not out of control at the moment, but it's coming to the point now where they have to show their hand. Cancellara will have to really push on in the next difficult sections where it's on the climbs. He has to try and open up this race. It is still bridgeable. We've seen I'm doubtful of that, because I think you can see the way the riders are racing at the moment. There's a lot of riders, I think, they are quite tired, and we can see they're just waiting, and they're not committing. So it's an indication, I think, that the very fast racing, the very aggressive racing in the earlier part of the race is starting to take its toll. And the moment we see an attack from the bigger riders here, then I think this group will be all over the place once again. And we have seen here, there's riders chasing to get back in, small groups of riders, losing contact, and that is going to be a one where you can live doing that for so long.
We have got a big attack, and it's from two big names. It's Kwiatkowski, as you can see, who's got the rainbow accents to his jersey. The jersey he used to wear, the World Champions jersey, is on the back of Peter Sagan, and they've got company here. Well, Martin Wynants and Sepp van Mark have been working extremely well today, despite all kinds of trauma. And with 31.8 to go, it's the first big roll of the dice by some very big names, Sean. This is serious.
Yes, well, with Sagan, Kwiatkowski, and of course Sepp van Mark, you cannot allow those guys to get much of an advantage. And the other riders who are thinking of doing something in this Tour of Flanders, they have to get a move, and you have to just wait for the opportunity. If you ride on the flat, of course you carry on, you carry everybody back with you in this group. But the moment you can get a little bit of a climb on the cobblestones, that's where you can hit it.
This is the danger. Alarm bells are going off, as you can see, and they're staying with it. And that's Daniel Oss, who's just bridging, and Cancellara, I think, is engaged. He does not want this to drift away at a moment such as this. He can't afford it, Sean.
No, you cannot allow this group to get too much of an advantage. But again, depending on how you're feeling, if you're in good shape, then you can say, well, I can just allow these fellas to take 15, 20 seconds, 25 seconds of advantage. And the moment it gets really difficult to terrain, well, then you can ride across to them. And Cancellara is the one who can do that, and we've seen him do it before. But again, you never know, he may be starting to pay the price for the very difficult day they've had today.
Big hairpin. It's going to have to be taken carefully, and they do take a hexagon all the way through it, as you can see, flatten themselves out and go for it again. Some very, very tired legs, and indeed minds, with 30.5 kilometers to go. 45 seconds is the gap right now. Kwiatkowski pushes on. Staying with him is Peter Sagan, and of course Sepp van Mark, leggy, rangy character, does a Sagan, readjusts himself because he wasn't too comfortable. I'm not surprised. He's got top tube trauma. Sagan stays with it. I'm just looking to see who's trying to bridge. Now, Cancellara did think about it, but has decided that there's a bigger group that he can sit in with at the moment doesn't want to engage too much with 30 kilometres to go, but there's definitely a big call being made here. Who's going to be wise to it? Is that Lars Bohm that's been tempted out as well? The Skyman's not going to help out, is he? Yes, he is, just for the time being, but only very briefly. And Wanty also engaged. So proud of that team to have picked themselves up and still playing the game with us right now. It is cat and mouse, and it's Kwiatkowski, Van Mark, and of course right in the middle of that sandwich is our world champion. What a fantastic trio we've got right now. It's what we needed, Sean, at this moment.
Well, yes, certainly the race was starting, to get a little bit boring, considering we had such an exciting earlier part, and that is always, very difficult for the race to continue at the pace they were going in the very early part of the race today. So it was inevitable there were going to be a bit of a downtime, but now Sagan, Kwiatkowski, Van Mark has committed herself. We also see another group coming across. There was a Sky rider there. It looked like Geraint Thomas with a rider from Astana. So yes, Sky are starting, to again numbers. You can do that, and we did talk about that in the earlier part of the day. Ethics Quick Step, they had a lot of riders, but of course they committed and they did a lot of riding. I think they've paid for that now, but Sky, they still have a number of riders still with a great shout in this race.
I think so. I wasn't even sure if it wasn't Luke Rowe, to be honest. He's been in very combative mood of late, and we'll see whether he delivers today. The main body of the peloton is now a minute adrift, so it's a good move. They're trying to bridge to these guys, where we find still turning the pedals. Dylan van Baarle as we come to the Kreuzberg, maximum 9%. It's looming large, Sean. Once we've dealt with this, we've only got the Ode Quermont and the Paterberg before we start to run for the line.
At a fast pace, and the ticker is telling us 25 seconds for the moment, but up front, on the Ode Quermont, it depends on how good Sagan is, Kwiatkowski, Van Mark, of course, and is there somebody else who have been out there in the break? Vandenberg has been out there for a while as well. He's a rider that has been in the final of this Tour of Flanders a number of years ago. So it's going to be the battle now, against Cancellara to make it across. Will he be able to do that? That is the question.
Gap just extends ever so slightly by 3 seconds after they'd had sight of them. I think they eased up. .5 kilometres to go, and it's Peter Sagan that takes on the duty. And Rick Greipel just gets out of the saddle trying to stay with these guys. Closest to Sagan is Dylan van Baarle. Still looks reasonably comfortable considering the amount of work that he's done today. I think it'd suit van Baarle to start shaking out a few of the quick men here, but it's hard when you're faced with the greatness, not suggesting that he's not part of that vanguard. But names like Sagan, names like Kwiatkowski, they've been at the top of the podium, top of all lists for quite some time, and in fact have managed to find a great deal of success of late. And they've got less than 20 kilometres to go now, and it's 27 seconds the gap, and we're starting to head for our big climbs. So introduce yourselves, why don't you, to the Ode Quermont. These are the approaches, the footlands, Sean. They're going to make the turn, and then they're going to test themselves, and I suspect they're going to test this group as well. Yes, well, I think we will see a test in both groups. This group, they cannot afford to hang around at all. They have to continue on working, and what more than a better place on the Quermont if Sagan and the rest of the guys who are in this leading group are feeling good, but they're going to have to try and make a selection and split this group once again. And the same goes for back in that group of chasers with Cancellara. We did see Bowen as well was very much to the front there. Here we go then. We're turned into hell. We've turned themselves inside out as well, they feel like. There's been several loops. It's spelt doom for plenty, and right now it's about taking on this for the last time, this double punch. The Ode Quermont beckons, after it the Paterberg, and then once you've dealt with that, the very last nasty spiteful climb, there's still 13.2 kilometres of open road with some descents as well, where the likes of Cancellara can break the hearts of all of those around him. He sits at 29 seconds at the moment, and he's been saving his energy. Unlike these guys, they've imposed themselves, Sean. I don't think they had that much choice in it, some of them. Maybe sent up the road as speculative riders, but now all of a sudden find themselves with a great possibility of glory. Yes, well, I think the riders who have been up in the earlier break, and certainly the riders that have come across
like Greipel, Van Baal, they have managed to get into a real good position here. Vandenberg, of course, as well, and he's the one from Ethics Quickstep. After all the work they have done, to have him up here, it's a good situation for them. But back in the group as well, let's not forget Christoph as well. He's been very, very quiet today. The team has been committed now for quite a while, so he must be feeling good. And will they be capable of getting out of this group, making it across to that group of Sagan, Kwiatkowski? 28 seconds at the moment. It is possible, but they will have to do it on the outer corner.
So we've got Cancellara here, we've got Geraint Thomas, we've got plenty of others as well, including, of course, Edvald Bosenhagen. It's a group of class, but unfortunately for them, top of the class at the moment is Peter Sagan, and he's 26 seconds up the road, and he's about to take on the Eau de Clermont. He looks nice and relaxed, maybe pensive as well, though, into the mix. 25 seconds, Sean. That doesn't sound like much, but with the firepower that they've got to issue here, I suspect that we may hear some cannons being shot back down the valley. They're on to the cobbles right now, and they've got to go for this. They've got no choice. They've got to go all in.
Yes, well, we can see here Sagan is the one who's been securing the pace before we got on the cobbles for quite a while. Everybody else just wants to follow, and we can see there's Kwiatkowski who is following, then Van Mark, and they are the riders, the three riders who have come across of late, and they are the freshest ones you would expect. And then you look at Vandenberg, he's made a big effort out front, but the guys who have been out there for longer, I think they're going to start paying the price here on this Quaremont, and if not, certainly on the Patersberg, the final one, because the steepness there will start catching out some of those riders that have been out for a long time.
Greipel is suffering at the back of this group. You can see some spaces opening up, and Greipel is struggling to stay on board. Camera switches rather cruelly, and you'll wait to see him come round the corner with his red livery jersey, and we wait and we wait and we wait. Oh, and Greipel's popped, I'm afraid. Oh, and he's been reabsorbed, and here they come. Everybody's there. Greipel goes backwards and Cancellara goes forwards. You've got to pick your moment and then go for it, and what a superb piece of timing that has been by Cancellara. 17.4 kilometres to go. What a time to impose yourself. The Paterberg beckons after this, and Sagan, I think, knows he's got company, an elevated company, as well as Nicky Terpstra also joins the fun. This is great.
Yes, we can see Cancellara, he's just lit the torch, as they say. We can see that Nicky Terpstra is trying to follow on. We can see Geraint Thomas also there, so it's going to be...
Oh, look at him go!
He goes by, he just rides by everybody, and this is going to be a horrible time for some, but great for others. And if you're in Cancellara's position, if you're feeling that way, well, then it's a great feeling.
One after the other after the other. Cancellara is eating up the break, and right now he's having a snack on absolutely everybody. Look at this. He's managed to find 5, 6, 7 bike links from those around him. Gives a cursory glance back, saying, what's back there? Human beings. Well, this is a phenomenal effort by this man, chasing on and trying to keep in touch. Movistar, I think it was Sutterlin actually, but anyway, out front there is Sagan with Van Mark. Is Van Mark going to be what? Well, in this scenario, he's always finished second. He'd like to come and beat Peter Sagan and add to his list of seconds right now, but one man who could well break their hearts and finish top deck yet again, and in fact become the first man ever to win 4, and he's just hove into view. He's out of he's in the shadows at the moment. He's threading the shortest route through this, and first man to pop out of that bushel there, it's Fabian Cancellara, and here he comes, Sean. He's on a mission. He can't afford to do anything else other than turn those pedals, and everyone else, well, the alarm bells have gone. I think that's Tom Bonan that's chasing in, by the way, and just behind him is Nicky Terpstra as well. This is phenomenal stuff. What a drive by Cancellara. He's going for it. He wants 4, Sean. Will he get it?
Well, he's going to have a difficult one. We can see, he's quite a bit of ground to make up on the two leaders, Van Mark and Peter Sagan. But we can see there, Ethics Quickstep pushing on. It looked like Stein Vandenberg, who was really digging in, trying to get Terpstra across to get onto the wheel of Fabian Cancellara.
I think you're right, and there is Peter Sagan with Sepp Van Mark. Now, he knows there's trouble behind, and he knows he's got to go for it. Takes a drink. You can see the pace he's taking as well, just bangs into his hand, and here's Cancellara. The fans gracefully just moving their arms out of the way for the Greyman Alliance, which you know is going to be torn up in, 14 kilometres time.
Well, of course, when you have difficulty following Cancellara on the previous time, the outer Quaramount, then you're a little bit concerned to ride with Cancellara here, and that is Nicky Terpstra's, I think, concern. If you ride, really 100%, then on the next climb, the Patersburg, Cancellara can hit you once again and try and make it across to the two. So it is going to be a bit of a cat and mouse, I think, in this chase away between Terpstra and Cancellara.
Nervous moments on the descent here. When roads are dry, they get dusty, and that could be equally as slippery as if they were wet and muddy. And there's the gap for you. It's a tenuous one, but it's out to 14 seconds, Sean. He's found a couple of seconds, Sagan, and at the moment it is he that is leading Sepp van Mark as they come into town. Sepp van Mark not able to copy the aero position of Peter Sagan. I don't think he wants to. He's staying there and freewheeling behind him. It's Sagan that's just pedaling on just for the time being. 14 seconds, 13.8 k's to go. Final climb then. The Paterberg is beckoning, and here we go. Get up this, and then you can start thinking about your run for home. But this is a horrible test, Sean, so late in the day.
Yes, well, this is the killer one at the end of the very difficult day. The gradient, as you can see, it's 20%, not a long one, 360 metres, but it feels like it goes on forever. And now the question is, back in that chasing group, Cancellara, how much has he got? Will he be able to, really put in a big effort of this one and try and make it across? He needs to try and get rid of the two chasers because they're not going to work. I don't think Erviti is going to last too long, but can Nicky Terpstra cling on to Cancellara?
Coming to the fore goes Sepp van Mark, and he's decided to offer Peter Sagan a little bit of assistance here, but more than that, I think he needs to shake him out. He needs to shake him off and hopefully just do something. But Sagan sails alongside as if to prove that he's still got what he takes, and he's delivering the power. He stays seated and meted, and look at this. He is absolutely ripping up this climb. If Sagan gets to the end, this could be the ultimate shootout. We'll wait and see. Van Mark is going backwards. He's going into the clutches of Cancellara, as you can see. Terpstra's also starting to struggle, and Sagan has gone here. Is this going to be the supreme solo? Are we going to see a double world champion winning day after Armistead did it in the women's race? Will Sagan do it here? 30.1 to go. He rounds that difficult section. He's been over the hardest bit. Now can he sustain it all the way to the line? Big question.
Yes, it's going to be a big ask because Cancellara is coming up very quickly to join up with Sepp van Mark, and this is going to be the difficult one maybe for Sagan because
but just comes out of the wind as if by magic. Cancellara and Van Mark, they have been changing positions, but Van Mark, whenever he takes over, the gap just grows a little bit. It's gone back out with Cancellara now relaying back into the void. 14 seconds it holds, Sean, with 5.7 to go, and as you say, doesn't sound like much, 14 seconds, and in normal circumstances it possibly would be bridgeable, but you don't know what Sagan's got left in terms of determination, heart, and indeed what's left in the legs. He's done a lot of work today. His team were largely absent, it seemed, from protecting him, but they helped him hide, Sean, by taking their turn on the front, and he used them gradually, slowly but surely, and then in the end what he always seems to do is do it for himself. Is he going to deliver, though? 15 seconds is the gap now.
Yes, I think he will hold on. It's possible that he's been, the director sportive has given him the advice, the advantage you've got. He can just maybe knock it back a fraction when he has 17 or 8 seconds, but when it starts to come down, of course, then you have to push on again, and it's going to be a real interesting one now. Is it going to come under the 14 seconds? If it goes down to 10 seconds, well, then we would be saying, I think he's starting to struggle out front, but we're getting closer to the finish. 4.8 to go. It's a situation for Cancellara Van Mark where they're going to start running out of road with the advantage of still at 15 seconds.
Well, it seems that Cancellara, the way it stands at the moment, it goes up to 16, 17 seconds. It seems that Cancellara is not going to make it. An unprecedented 4 victories in Flanders, and of course his career, he's declared, is drawing to a close at the end of this season. Sepp Van Mark will race on, but he's a big man with a big heart, and but is it going to be minor places for him today? Remains to be seen. Bonan, Os and Lutsenko, you're looking at them now as they go under this 5 Ks to go banner. 18 seconds is up to now, and now we start to believe in Sagan's capabilities of delivering this. Such a tenuous margin. We thought that Cancellara would be in closing mode. Well, so it has proven, and these guys, I think, now know that this day is not going to belong to them. Unlike Peter Sagan, Well, who said the rainbow jersey was a curse? He started winning with it, of course. And it could well be that we get world champion winning the women's race, world champion winning the men's race. And right now that looks like exactly what's going to happen. 18 seconds is the gap as we go up to 3.7 kilometers from home. That says 4. It's a little less than that. The airbridge man has placed it in the wrong place. In the right place is Sagan. He's going, Sean. He's bidding for glory, and Cancellara must surely know that he's got a lead weight, an anchor on his back in the form of Sepp van Mark, who's not going to be given to help out too much here, surely. 20 seconds now, Sagan. 21 seconds, 22 seconds. It's extending, Sean.
Yes, well, I think Sepp van Mark is giving his all. What he's got, he's giving here. I know with Cancellara, it looks like that he's not maybe contributing, but he is. The last number of kilometres, he's been really giving very much. I think he's all. But Sagan, it looks like he's too strong for the two, and that is something. Cancellara, you will be getting time checks, and when you see that Sagan is not slowing down at all, well then that is going to be very demoralising for the two chasers, especially for Cancellara, because known as a super time trialist, when you cannot close down in the first number of kilometres after the Patersberg, and we can see it's starting to grow out more and more.
3Ks to go. The ticker says 2.8. I think the ticker's right. It's GPS based. 24 seconds he's got now. Peter Sagan is underscoring his greatness, Sean. He's had so much disappointment. He started winning, we remind you, Gent-Wevelgem runner-up, of course, in the E3 and Tirreno Adriatico. But this is going to be an enormous moment in what is still a very young career for this man.
Well, of course, the last 3-4 years we've been talking about Sagan a lot. When he burst onto the scenes 4 or 5 years ago in the Paris-Nice, I think was the first major once where he won 2 stages, and we said this is a rider who is going to win many big classics, and he has struggled in the past years, getting very close, being in the final, but not managed to pull off a big one, a monument. And then of course winning the World Championships last year. Now he's going to go on and win one of the big classics, the Tour of Flanders, and what a way he's won it. He took up the race, took the race into his hands a long ways out, wasn't afraid to go on the attack with Kwiatkowski and Sepp van Mark. He could have waited, started marking Cancellara, did that waiting game, because he's a sprinter. Sometimes that is the mentality, but Peter Sagan, no, he just goes out, takes the race by the scruff of the neck, and the way he's winning is chapeau. Oh,
it's unbelievable. 24 seconds the gap, it's holding. He's got 1,800 metres to go. They hit the 2K to go marker. The Flamme Rouge beckons, of course, for Peter Sagan. What an amazing young man, and he is still very much in the centre of his career, and he's standing on a mountain at the moment. He can see where he's been, he can see where he's going, and to be honest, right now the odds are rapidly shortening on this man for the Olympic Games. He'll probably go to Rio and bid for gold. He's a world champion, he'd like to be an Olympic champion, but today, as far as the Low Countries are concerned, he is the King of Flanders, and by a margin of 25 seconds. This is absolutely outstanding. The Flamme Rouge is going to belong to him, and so is the title here, and it couldn't happen, quite frankly, to a bigger star in the firmament of cycling. He's got so many fans, he's edgy, he's hard to read, he's humorous, he's a rock star, Sean, and today this is his stage, and what a performance.
What a performance, and as you said, he is great for cycling because he is that style of guy, a rock star style, and that is good for the sport. I think, to change that image, it has been changing for quite a long time, and to win Tour of Flanders with the rainbow jersey on our back, it must be a great feeling.
Must be an absolutely outstanding feeling, and it's been an outstanding performance by Peter Sagan. The puppy balls to the fore, the crowd goes suitably crazy, and they know that they're welcoming their champion. Fabian Cancellara, he set out to make it 4 victories in the great race. It's going to be denied him by an absolutely supreme talent. The Sagan era is alive and well. More chapters surely to be written, but this page, I think, will be turned down at the corner as an extra special day for an extra special rider. Rock and roll, Peter Sagan, here he comes. That line belongs to him, and it must be so welcome for our world champion. Peter Sagan, chapeau, sir. What about that, Sean? We stand as one, and we welcome home a true champion.
What can you say? It's certainly a true champion, and he has had to wait for a long time to win his first monument, but in what style he has won it. As I mentioned, the way he went out and rode this race in the final, that is Peter Sagan style.
Cancellara finishes second and waves to the crowd and shakes his head. He gave